Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another Chelsea news video. First things first, guys, make sure you run up the likes. You need to hit 100 likes on this video and subscribe to the channel if you are new around here. Apologies for the lack of live streams this week. I've been feeling a bit under the weather. Haven't really got the energy for it, but hopefully they'll be back before the end of the week. But let's dive into today's video. And we've had a little bit of summer transfer news in regards to Chelsea's potential activity, with the Blues believed to be eyeing a move for 21-year-old winger Nico Williams from Spanish side Athletic Bilbao. Matt Law dropping an article today stating that Chelsea are interested in the Spanish international. Now, I'll have to say, it appears to me that obviously we know that we're going to need to sell some players to raise some funds, and we're looking at, cheaper signings or signings with release clauses in there. Which Nico Williams obviously falls into that category. Despite signing a new contract in December last year, the release clause did remain the same at 50 million euros. That's around 43 million pounds. And, despite starting his career as a left winger, he has obviously predominantly featured down the right-hand side. He's having a very good season for Athletic Bilbao. He's a regular there. He's provided, I think, 11 assists so far this season. And he's doing really well, and he's clearly caught the eye of Chelsea. I think this is one of those Joe Shields-inspired signings, and, if he thinks he's a good player, then I think that's probably good enough for me. You look at the players that Joe Shields has been instrumental in, obviously in Romeo Lavia, in Cole Palmer. He wants Michael Elise, believed to want Nico Williams as well. The guy's got a pretty good eye for talent, and, I would be in favour of this move if he is, given his track record. What I would say, though, is I don't know what that means for the likes of Mykhailo Mudryk and Raheem Sterling, who predominantly have occupied the left wing slot at Chelsea. There clearly isn't space for another winger without one leaving. We've also got Cole Palmer down that right-hand side. Noni Madueke, plays there as well. You've got Christopher Nkunku, and then on the left, we've obviously got Mudryk and Sterling. Now, obviously, Matt Law adds in his article that there are currently no plan to Chelsea to move on Sterling and Mudryk, and both are, committed to the club. But if I was thinking rationally, and it's not something that Chelsea do particularly often, you'd think, right, well, we need to move Raheem Sterling on. He's older. He's on extortionate wages. We could use those wages to reinvest and pay other players a bit more, or can pay potential new signings more money. That would make sense. But then sort of my other hat thinks, well, this is Chelsea Football Club, and we kind of move in a mad way. And it wouldn't surprise me if Chelsea binned off Mudryk, kept Sterling, and then bought in Nico Williams, which really wouldn't make an awful lot of sense. In regards to Williams, of course, yes, obviously he's available for a reasonable price, but at the same time, his wages could prove to be a potential stumbling block. He's believed to be on 100 grand a week after tax out in Spain, which would put him right up in the top earners at Chelsea. So be prepared. We have to wait and see whether Chelsea would pay him that money, whether he'd be prepared to take a pay cut. I'll be brutally honest. If I'm Nico Williams and I'm looking at it and I'm playing regularly at Athletic Bilbao, I'm going to have other clubs interested in me. Do I look at Chelsea's project and see how young players are developing? A, Am I going to get regular minutes there? B, is it really the right environment right now that's going to enable me to thrive and reach my potential in the next phase of my career? And I'm looking at that, and I think it's probably going to be no European football. I could probably go and play regularly for a Champions League side somewhere. I'm thinking, is Chelsea the best choice of my career? And I get it that young players, a long-term project potentially means more for them. They can see something to buy into. They can see a vision, but ultimately, you don't know how long that vision is going to take. And if I was Nico Williams, as much as I would potentially like him to join Chelsea, I'm looking at it and I think, is that the best choice for his career? Why would you really choose Chelsea, given the turmoil the club's in, given how you've seen other players in your position of a similar age struggling and not getting the minutes they need to develop? What makes you think that you would get those minutes? These are all decisions that need to be made. I wouldn't have had a winger down as a necessity for this summer window, unless one was going to leave. We know that Raheem Sterling is the one that makes sense. We know that he had an approach from Saudi Arabia last summer, which he turned down. He's not interested in the move. I would expect them to come back next summer. The problem we've got with Sterling is, obviously, with the astronomical wages he's on, unless he takes a pay cut, we're not going to get anyone to take him off the books. And that in itself represents a major, major issue. So, yeah, I don't know what we do here, but it is interesting. It's interesting that we're targeting players with a release clause, given that, you know, a striker is going to be very, very expensive. And I think the signing of Inaki Williams is going to depend on how much money we can raise through player sales. But I think there's a few hurdles to jump over on this one. How he would fit in the squad, who needs to move out. But it's definitely an exciting player with a lot of potential. But is that really what Chelsea needs right now? We really need someone who's a finished article, ready to come in and make an immediate impact. And despite all his ability and his talent, that he doesn't tick either of those boxes. Yes, Mudryk and Williams would be an exciting pair of left wingers, but ultimately we need a bit more reliability on that left-hand side. So I think you need one with an experienced option. And Sterling obviously is that experienced option, but he's not good enough. So we either stick with that or we find another experienced option that can come in and do a job. But, you know, it's certainly an exciting player. It's interesting to see that Chelsea are looking at wide players potentially. But I'm not sure for me if it's a deal that I would be looking at going for at this point in time. The same article also adds that obviously we know that Chelsea's prime target is Victor Osimhen, but another name right up on the list is that of Benjamin Cesco of RB Leipzig. Now, again, another talented player. Chelsea have scouted Cesco on numerous occasions. He did very well at RB Salzburg. He's gone to RB Leipzig. He hasn't been playing as regularly. He's a bit more regular in the team now. He's scoring a few goals. There is clearly immense talent there. And again, another player who wouldn't command the highest wages. And there is that release clause, 50 million euros, 43 million pounds, the same as obviously Nico Williams at Bilbao. But again, it doesn't really, for me, solve our issue of needing a ready, proven, made goal scorer. Sesko is more experienced than Nico Jackson, probably a better player than Nico Jackson in terms of playing down the middle, but he's not one of those for me that I look at and I think, well, hang on a second, this guy is ready to come in, do the business. He's pretty much the finished article. He's been doing it for a number of years. He's as good as a guarantee as you can get to goals. He's not. He's raw. He's rough around the edges. There's a lot of talent there and a lot of ability there. But right now, he's not ticking the box of proven and ready-made. Osimhen obviously ticks those boxes more, but he's going to cost £112 million. And reportedly, according to Fabrizio Romano, Chelsea aren't really that interested in Ivan Toney. So it remains to be seen what sort of route we're going to go down. I don't envisage a scenario where we're able to get both Osimhen and Sesko. I think that would require multiple player sales. And if it's between the two of these guys, then for me, it would be Osimhen because he's more proven and he's more ready-made to come in and make an immediate impact. But Cesco's a talented boy, but we need to move away from signing young up-and-coming players that might be good in a few years' time. We've got enough of those. We don't need any more of those. We need a finished article. And for me, yeah, it's great that Cesco's on the list. He's obviously attractive because he's a young up-and-coming talent, fits into the age group for players that Chelsea are signing. Release clause, so he's not going to cost a fortune. But he doesn't tick what we need in terms of a proven goal scorer at this level to come in and make an immediate impact. Osimhen ticks that box more. Obviously, a lot more expensive. We'll have to sell quite a few players, I feel, to raise the money to sign him. But if it's between these two, then for me, it's for sure Victor Osimhen. And I'd be shocked if Chelsea were in a position to get both these players. But for me, it's a little bit of a concern that, look, I know the striker market's not amazing, but it's a little bit of a concern that once again, we're being linked with up-and-coming players that could be good in a few years, rather than addressing the issue at hand, which is we don't have an experienced core. And it's frustrating to see that once again, we don't seem to be learning from our lessons and realising what we need. And we're targeting the same sort of players that, in the reality, we absolutely don't need. So look, as much as I think the likes of Nico Williams, Benjamin Cesco are good players, it's not addressing what the club needs right now. And that, for me, is a little bit of a concern that these sporting directors, the people making the decisions, are still failing to realise what the club actually needs. Or they do realise and they're ignoring it and they're ploughing full force ahead with their plan and they've got no intentions of changing the route that they're going down. And it's going to take as long as it takes for it to come right. I'm sort of leaning more towards the latter on that one. And to round out today's news, we've had an incredible story from Sport Bild in Germany that Thomas Tuchel would be prepared to return to Chelsea. We know obviously he's leaving Bayern Munich in the summer. It's not gone well for him there. He's been poor. He's not going to win the Bundesliga this season. He's 10 points behind Bayer Leverkusen over an outstanding season under Xabi Alonso. He's out the German Cup. But apparently, if the Chelsea owners were willing to swallow their pride, Tuchel would consider a return to Chelsea. Bowley believes that the club was significantly better positioned with Tuchel in charge. Now, look, this is never, ever going to happen, in my opinion. At the time, you could argue potentially were, but with the direction the club's gone down now, a return for Thomas Tuchel makes absolutely no sense. I think since he's left Chelsea, I feel he's regressed as a manager. Yes, there's a lot going on in his personal life. Obviously, divorced from his wife. You can't underestimate the toll being the front man of leading Chelsea through the sanctions would have had on him. But yeah, this on absolutely zero levels makes any sense at all. You could say that Chelsea need a manager that's going to be the face of the club and be, a guiding light and someone that unifies the fan base, someone that maybe turns doubters into believers. But I have to say, I love Thomas Tuchel, forever grateful for what he did for Chelsea, but honestly think the revisionism on him is utterly madness. Yes, we know that Chelsea could ideally do with a proven winner, but under Tuchel, we'd 100% be having the same issues as we do now. But it's a moot point because the way it ended for Tuchel means it's never gonna happen again. So I don't understand why people are getting their hopes up over this. Agreed that he's a very good knockout football manager, a very good cup manager, but let's be real. His league form is poor. He's not a good league manager. He lacks the consistency over the course of a league season. We weren't good in the league under him. He's not been good in the league at Bayern. It just literally makes no sense on any levels whatsoever. And too many people are just too emotionally attached and can't remove themselves from their emotional attachment and get on board with the actual reality of the situation. This is never happening. It ended because the visions didn't align. The visions aren't suddenly going to align now. This, for me, if it's true, is more Tuchel thinking, fuck, I might struggle to get a top job. Maybe I'll see if I can try and go back to Chelsea. The reality is that ship sailed. And this revisionism over Tuchel is, quite frankly, ridiculous, in my opinion. He's 100% regressed as a manager. And it's not the right thing for Chelsea at all. Too many fans don't know what they want right now. They're pining for the past. They don't really know what's right for the club and what isn't. And we just find ourselves in a ridiculous mess. So, yeah, for the romantic side of things and a storyline, it would be unbelievable. But the reality of the situation is it's never happening. It wouldn't work. So the sooner people forget about it, the absolute better. But yeah, guys, that is the Chelsea news roundup for today. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Smash the like, subscribe if you're new around here, and I'll catch you again in another one soon. Up the Chelsea, and peace out, people.